Welcome to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy is a veteran U.S. Navy SEAL, a former protective officer for the CIA Global Response Staff, founder and CEO of the Able Shepherd Program, a husband and father of 4, and a personal friend of mine. Now here's Jimmy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. I'm your host, Jimmy Graham. I'm so excited to announce my guests. This is a special. Are we going to air this before Mother's Day? Okay, this is going to be hot off the press then. This is a target of opportunity. What did we call it, brother? Like a news flash? Whatever it is. Usually we're on Mondays. This one couldn't wait. So this is our Mother's Day podcast, and I am joined by Nancy Von Minden, Able Shepherd 044. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. Heather Cameron, Able Shepherd 115. Hi.
Hello.
And Melissa Popoulias, that is in the program. Can I make this announcement, please?
Yes, you may.
Okay, it is official. So she's in the program. I'm excited to announce that we stole her from the school district. She has been a teacher for many years. She now works with us.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, so we wanted to get the ladies' perspective of Protector Culture. Protector Culture podcast, obviously, we're always talking about Protector Culture and everything. We did that purposefully. We didn't want to just make it about Able Shepherd, so that gave us a very broad spectrum. It's been guys. I think this is the first one, yeah? BK?
Yeah.
The first lady Protector Culture interview. So good job. Thank you guys for doing it. So we want the female Protector Culture perspective. Oh, nux. What's up, COVID? Take that.
I know, right?
Tell you what, I'm just gonna start throwing stuff out and just see where we go with this, because I've already, just from our before we started, some conversations came up, and I'm gonna tap into those. You know what I'm talking about. Why were you originally drawn to this kind of training? I mean, it's tactical training. You guys are in the program, some of you, to an elite level of Able Shepherd, and you're right behind them, and that's coming soon. Why? What was the thing? How'd you hear about us, for one, and then what drew you to this specifically? Anybody?
We're looking at me.
Grabs. I'm looking at you first. How about you, Nancy Von Minden?
Okay. When I first heard about the program, actually the first time I heard about it, I saw a bunch of guys. I had some range time. I saw a bunch of guys in the range next door looking all cool in their camo and stuff like that, and just looking like they were doing fun stuff. And I found out that those were the Able Shepherd guys, and then I saw a demo at Firearms Festival. And talked to one of the guys afterwards and asked a lot of questions and sat down and talked to him for a while. And one of the questions I asked him is, can women do this, do this thing? And the answer was absolutely yes. You can do it. Please sign up. And so
that was a couple years ago. That wasn't this last one.
That wasn't this
summer.
last one. No,
Yeah.
that was, but it's kind of a blur.
It all blends together.
It all blends
is a big,
together.
wonderful blur.
But it was a while back. And so that's how that happened. I mean, first off, I was really impressed with the demo, and really impressed by how much fun everyone seemed to be having, and kind of took it from there. So
dipped your toe into the POP to let's see what this is about.
Yeah.
Sniff test.
Yeah, and it was awesome. And I came out of the POP with a lot of stuff we did. I thought my blood pressure was never going to come down. And I remember that night, and I didn't know you that well, or that day, and you were commenting on it. I came out of stuff dancing because I was having so much fun, and it was better than I thought it could.
I don't think that's an exaggeration, because I know you. I bet you were dancing, absolutely dancing.
I was dancing, and I was so happy.
Did you ever find out who those guys were?
No,
Because
I
then
don't
you got in the
remember.
program.
Yeah,
okay, and you didn't know them then. But
I
then
didn't know them
probably
then,
know now.
so they were wearing camo.
We could probably narrow that down, actually.
Yeah.
Melissa.
Same deal. So it was my husband's friend, they had signed up for POP.
Yeah.
And so it's like, he did it, and he's like, you really need to go take this class. We have kids. So I'm like, okay. And so I took it with a girlfriend, and it was an instant, where do I sign me up? Like, let's start. So my husband and I, we signed up the beginning of the year and started taking classes, and it was just the collaboration together and the friendships, and it felt like home.
Awesome.
us. Yeah.
Awesome. Heather.
So I think it was about October of 2018. I went to 511 where you were doing a presentation, and actually Nancy was there. I recognized her from that presentation, and I was like, oh, cool, girls can do this too.
It worked, Nancy. Our plan worked. Awesome. Excellent job on the demo then.
Thank you, sir.
But then I didn't pursue it for quite some time until, an event happened in my life, and that kind of triggered me to, go ahead and move forward. And so I came to POP knowing that I was going to sign up. I didn't think I would stick all the way through. I figured, phase 1, maybe phase 2, and then I just fell in love with the people and the program and how supportive everyone was. So I just kept going.
Love it. Birthday present, right?
Yes.
You passed on your birthday week. Was it on the day or was it on the weekend?
My birthday was on Sunday, and I passed on Friday.
Awesome. Congratulations again. Awesome. So if you don't understand that, the Able Shepherd program, all the way through the advanced level through phase 4, when you take the out of 3 into 4, that's the advanced level that we call phase 4, and that's when you're officially an Able Shepherd with a roster number coin. So when we talk about those, Nancy being 044, Heather being 115, that means that they have a coin that gets them into the advanced training to where we're down. Hey, look at that. Nice.
Brought it with.
So I got the leather pouch on there, and there's a roster number in there, and everybody with that roster number that's current gets invited to the special events. Awesome. And I skipped one. Can you guys introduce yourselves? And this is funny. I'm going to you probably haven't heard this since POP.
Oh.
First name, hometown, favorite movie.
All right. Nancy, first name, and hometown, Austin, Texas, is where I grew up. I was born in San Antonio. And favorite movie, Sound of Music, hands down.
Yes, me too. I'm just kidding. Melissa.
Melissa Papulia's hometown, Ellensburg, Washington. Favorite movie? Oh, that's a hard one. I don't really have a favorite movie, but I go to Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy. Right on. Is it a movie or a TV show?
No, it's
both?
a series. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
it's
fine.
Years and years running. So,
All right,
yep.
right on. Heather.
Heather, my hometown is Denville, New Jersey. So, I get a little Jersey attitude sometimes. Can't help it. It comes out. My favorite movie, The Painted Veil. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that. All the guys, I remember this question from Pop because all the guys looked at me like, what? You're going to have to look up the movie.
I'm going to have to look it up. All right.
Huh, I'm going to have to look at that.
You'll be crying.
Good to know.
So what experience level before? So before coming in, obviously there's people listening that are part of the program, protector culture, all that stuff, but maybe people that aren't, they don't even know what that means. So what was your experience level prior to walking in the doors over there? Whoever.
So I grew up in a small farm town. So it was, we would hunt for wild game. So it was, the rifles and shotguns and stuff like that. So minimal pistols, but some background.
Rifle, shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nancy.
I had some experience shooting. A buddy of mine was a rifle instructor and pistol instructor and taught me how to shoot on an outdoor range. Didn't get much practice in until I joined the gun club. So some experience shooting, very little experience shooting well.
You're like, I shot poorly a lot.
Yes, I did.
I had very little experience. I came here, I did the CCW class here, and I would come to ladies' nights a couple times, but, maybe I'd shoot half a box and, go home like, oh, see, look, I shot. And I just didn't do it very often. Once in a while, went with friends to an outdoor range, but really very little experience. And I remember the phase 2 class where you're first shooting at 60 feet.
Yep.
Absolutely nothing hit the paper. I was leaning over looking at the person's next to me to see if I hit his by accident. I had no idea where they went.
Right on. That is honest. So thank you for that. So if I ask enough questions, especially nowadays, usually we end with some kind of, I mean, I'll land on, people say, recreational, why did you start shooting? What's in your mind when you're doing that? We end up some kind of defensive. All of you are mothers. It's Mother's Day. Would that be, is that correct? A defensive, or was it just, for fun? I just want to, there's a gun. I want to know how that works. I want to put holes in paper. Or was there some kind of defensive principles that were in your mind?
So for me, definitely with my kids, there was some protective there. I wanted to know more about how to protect myself with them in public and in like movie theaters and, go to the grocery store and in public. Just how do I keep them safe and myself in my home as well.
So primarily at home, all of that outside. Okay.
Yeah.
Same.
This is going to be a reveal that you might not have been expecting.
We're wide open here.
So the way I spent my young life, I was abused very badly. I don't speak publicly about details, but most of what you can imagine was done to me. And so I got out of that situation ultimately, and I've spent my adult life finding as many ways as I can to protect innocents, largely children. And so through career and other things, and so through as far as physical defense and stuff like that, went into martial arts pretty heavily, did a lot of teaching in that too, and guns seemed to be the most appropriate next step, and to be able to protect innocents with a weapon and to do it properly.
Thank you. I appreciate you trusting this community with that. Capability-wise, do you feel capable? Do you feel like you could protect yourself and,
No doubt.
and your loved ones? Yep. Heather. I told you we were going to cry.
Guys.
I told you that. I told you that. Deep breath.
Oh, that look on your face.
What? I'm trying to keep it together over here too.
I guess we all kind of have our stories that bring us here. See, now I've even forgotten the question.
Me too. Defensive in nature.
Yeah. So
would that be accurate? Looking for to defend yourself and others.
Well, I first got a weapon before the elections because I was, things just seemed to be getting a little odd,
Sure.
and I was concerned. I'm a single mom, and so I was concerned for our safety. I got the CCW, but then I ended up never carrying because I didn't feel prepared to use it if I was faced with a situation. And then I saw you guys and Nancy doing the presentation, and, I wish that I would have taken up at that time because I had an event that happened in my life that maybe could have been prevented had I taken the class. So that triggered me to come in and pursue. I kind of wish I did it back when I first saw you guys. But protecting myself, learning how to protect my son.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm not crying. Not yet, at least.
Man, okay, I'm gonna jump down the line because let's just go ahead and get into it. So, I tell people about the program, the skills. So I commonly say that I feel like I have a calling to pursue the hearts of men, and I say that broadly because I don't mean not women. I just relate more because I'm a man, so I relate more with the dads. It just gets something about your dad, whatever. And it's insecure guys, and I don't care if they're SEAL team guys or cops or no background in this or whatsoever. But we talk about the skills because I get to see that. This came out in the last in a recording with Jason. Campbell, the 86er, Jason Campbell. You guys know him. You guys know my faith. I wear it on my sleeve. I don't care what God uses to put us in the same room. Once you put powerful people in the same room, get out of the way. It just happens to be guns, right? So it's very, very cool. I've never seen this level of training available to civilians, but it's not the coolest thing. It's the community.
Yep.
We're going to dive in with both feet. Melissa, you're up.
Here we go.
Besides the classes and the training, the group of people that you get to meet, and they are no longer your training buddies, they are your family. And I don't have family that lives in Colorado, and not a lot of close girlfriends. And so, like, you talk about this being a group of men, but those group of men would have my back no matter what, any day, any time of the day. So would the women. And besides that, it's family. And we do things outside of training, from the bike ride we did this last summer to just getting together and having potlucks and, having that visits together. But I took some time away from training to go back to school. And no matter what, like, I still stayed in contact with everybody, and they never knew I was gone. This is my family for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anything to add? Words about the
What-
community. I love it so much.
What she said, yeah, we have a band of brothers and sisters, and at our fingertips at any moment in time, there are well over 100 people that would drop everything if you had a need, no matter how small, no matter how big. If you need prayer, if you need help moving, if you just need a hug, for Pete's sake, you can. I mean, realize that we're in a virus situation right now, and hugging has to,
when it's lawful.
but an air hug.
It's allowed by the government.
We can get any air hugs we can have right now, and secret underground, real hugs and stuff that we'll speak of, because that just doesn't happen. Anyway, I digress. But yes, there's a band of brothers and sisters that we can count on. We do stuff outside. We train together. We train hard together. We lift each other up. We do stuff like the motorcycle ride that Melissa talked about. We do the Murph together, which is something that's so close to my heart. And we do that together. We sweat together.
What's the Murph? Explain that, please, because it's coming up. We just talked about it, and you start getting a little, emotional about it, because this year it's a big deal. And it's, just not the Murph per se, but the day it's on.
Yeah, so it's on Memorial Day every year, and to honor was it Lieutenant Colonel Brian Murphy?
Michael Murphy.
Michael Murphy, sorry. So out of respect, and also to raise money for veterans, you reproduce the workout, which is 1 mile on each side. Inside that sandwich is 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, with a 20-pound weighted vest. And it's an incredible workout, and it's an amazing challenge. And the one of the cool things about coming in and training at the ASRTC is, one of the first things we do when you come in after you finish hugging everybody, because there's a gauntlet of hugs, is you do some portion of that workout. Basically, you'll do some pull-ups, some squats, some push-ups, or whatever, and that's kind of how you clock in. And so we kind of pay homage to that on any training day anyway. And just every year, it's a really it's a great cause, and something that we can always do together. And I'm not waxing very poetical here. It means the world to me to do this.
I
with
feel like
my
we do
brothers
have a
and
lot of
sisters.
patriotic, obviously there's a tie with, personal tie with me and the SEAL teams and all that, but to see people get up and it's a big deal that people know the difference between Veterans Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, all that stuff. But yeah, there's freedom is not free, and that was paid for by some. They gave everything to ensure that we can do something like this, and that's a big deal to me to know that many of my friends aren't with us anymore. That inspires me to live well. It's a big responsibility. So I love Memorial Day.
Yeah,
Murph's a cool thing when you just see a bunch of people for the right reason gathered early in the morning and just kind of doing something to just mark that. It's a big deal to us.
Yeah, some gave all, and it's just such a big deal to pay tribute and pay homage, and then to do it together with a group of people that you really are family with. It's just amazing.
And then the Michael Murphy Foundation, I think it's murphchallenge.com if I'm not correct, but if you Google it, and one big thing to support that, because I do support that, with everything from the T-shirts being made, that's a SEAL foundation, that's a SEAL company, to that foundation, you don't have to do it. So if people go to that website right now, you can actually pay $45, I think it is, to get the package, which includes the T-shirt and all that stuff. Typically, it's for people who do it, the workout, and it's a symbol. They always make great T-shirts, but it's a super patriotic thing. A lot of times on the back, it's a Bible verse that has become attached to that is talking about no to greater love, than to give one's life for their brother. So that's a big, big deal. So I don't want to leave you out. So any words about the community and what that means to you?
Well, I'm kind of the newest person in the community, in this room at least. So I started in July, so it hasn't even been a year yet, but the community has meant so much to me. Coming in, like you were saying, the hugs, I've always felt very welcomed. And I think it's important when you come into this program to participate in that. Like, I've always made it to all of the mixes. I'm so sad that we're not having them right now. Darn COVID. But COVID. Volunteered at the event that we had back in November at the church. I participated in that. I see people outside, and gotten to know people outside of training, and spend time. I always set most of the time, I set 2 bays at the range, and I twist somebody's arm to come with me. Or maybe I don't really have to twist arms. So it's been great. It's been a great experience getting to know folks and becoming part of this family.
We've mentioned workouts coming in. We've mentioned hugs. I don't want to creep anybody out or have somebody be like, I can't do a pull-up. So the clocking in, clocking out.
Oh, yeah.
Just to be clear, people can come in and do whatever they're comfortable with. They can touch their toes, they can stretch, they can do whatever, but we do have some equipment there as well. And then one of my pet peeves is inappropriate touching. meaning like instructors. This is funny because it just reminded me, because my instructors know this. It's a rule about, they're like, I'm not gonna come and hug a bunch of strangers. I've seen instructors, I'm not kidding, like that sounded so bad. I don't know if you guys know this, but we're training a new batch of instructors right here in Centennial Golf Club. They're instructors, actually, because they're like, something's going on here, and it's not just the classes, it's not just the curriculum, it's culture. Can you share that culture? Absolutely, because it's not accidental. It's actually deliberate. When you walk in the door, and I tell people the way you say hello and goodbye is a big deal. So when you walk up, they're instructed to walk over and shake your hand and look at you and say, how you doing? Good seeing you. And that's when you say goodbye, you need to notice them leaving, because these people mean a lot to us. What did you think about the whole, when you heard about it, Navy SEAL, CIA, it sounds kind of tough guyish. I've had people and this is just going to be a weird one. This whole podcast is going to be a weird one. A buddy of mine had paid a Navy SEAL guy to fly into town and train him. And it was this rugged, dirty, whatever. At one point they're outside. He's choking him out, almost unconscious, and then having him shoot and doing all this stuff. What did you think you were going to see when it was like the Navy SEAL, CIA, tactics and all that, not just firearms training? Do you remember what you expected? Because it's funny, people tell me every day, I didn't expect this.
it kind of scared me at first, walking into like a man's environment. But since, Nancy was there at that presentation, that put me at ease. And it wasn't
Cool.
It wasn't like that at all. Like, everyone's been so supportive, and Skip in particular, he's my favorite instructor.
Shout
But
out.
I was a disastrous mess when I started. Well, I've never had you as an instructor, Pete. So
He's like, man, I'm right here. He's like, I'm right here.
but like I was a mess,
Pete, you're
my
my
equipment was a mess, and I would forget things, and mishaps, and he always like gently got me back on track, and so
Cool.
it wasn't any kind of threatening environment at all.
Good.
I'll admit, so my first view of the Able Shepherds was a mass of studly-looking guys in camo at the range next door, and I was like,
Oh, I don't know if I could fit in with that, but it looks like fun.
and then talking to who
That is the first Mouseketeer we've had on the show, I guess. Which has happened.
talking to whomever that was, thank you, whomever that was that I talked to after the firearms, at the firearms festival, for putting me at ease and encouraging me. Yes, you can do this, and you can feel comfortable with it, and please join us. And so that kind of took away that bit of
Intimidation.
The intimidation was big because early on in the program, there wasn't a lot of women in the program. And so you'd go in and the classes would be Melissa and 6 guys. And it's like, oh, okay, I feel safe, but I'm out of place. Or it's like, oh, look at, well, they can shoot really well. And then there's nothing on the paper. So yeah, the intimidation was there. But at the same time, more women started joining. And it's like, it's okay. The support was there, the guidance, and it's like, okay, next time you'll get it. And the instructors, like early on, it was Parker, and he's like, come back, don't give up, because there was emotional nights where I crying after testing. What am I doing wrong? And just relax and come back and redo it, and you'll get it. So yeah, the support was there.
So this came up already, but Nancy and Melissa, obviously you guys were comfortable enough to join us on a 4,000-mile motorcycle ride around the nation.
Yep.
And I'll preface this real quick, but I want to tap into that because this is a big deal. It was a really big deal. And we talked about this a little bit, is like, that had to be intimidating. Like, here we go, like into the unknown kind of deal with a Disney song. With, for 4,400 miles, the Lineage Ride last year was amazing. Over 4,000 miles for it to benefit Able Nation, to protect children, and basically our route took us all the way out west of the ocean, up north, got our Space Needle pick through Leavenworth, Washington, and everything that was so amazing, and then to Montana and back home. Anything to say about that? Maybe a typical day, a favorite memory. We could do an entire podcast on that, because it's like it's hard to be able to explain that. To people that weren't there, but there was a level of comfort because you guys decided early on. Well, I know that I love Everett. He's so awesome, because we talked about it years for that. And I said, "What do you think?" And he goes, "I'm in." I'm like, "Do you even have a motorcycle?"
Nope.
I will. Wow. Okay. That's all in right there. So anything come to mind?
Well, it was, I heard about it, and the bike arrived, and we did a trial ride. And I'm like, so, like, if I find daycare, like, can I catch a ride on the back? He's like, yeah, you raise your money, and, you're in. Like, once we leave, there's no turning back. So it was like, I'm in. I'm going to raise the money, and I'm going to go. And we found sitters for the 2 kids. And just the beginning to the end when we got back, it was nonstop exhilaration. I don't think I stopped smiling from when we literally left our house early in the morning on a Monday. We got to Castle Rock, got set up, and we had our departure. People stopped and, sent us on our way. to when they greeted us coming home. It was just exhilaration and
Tell us about the launch.
the launch. It was exciting. So family and friends in Castle Rock PD, I think, was there, and the sheriff and
State Patrol,
and the state patrol and the fire department. And it was just family and friends and smiles and laughter and some tears, but wishing us on this well trip. But it was, I am smiling right now thinking of it. And I'm
The
just,
best. Now you're
face
reminding
hurts.
me, because one of the pastors at my church at
and
Plum
he was
Creek, we
there.
launched from there. He came out and prayed over us.
Yes.
And then we took off, and it was just this amazing, like intimidating, like I'm not sure what's going to happen next week.
no, and I'm like 15 days. Okay, I'm 15 days on a bike, 15 rain, snow, hail. Yeah.
Yep.
Any regrets?
No, I would get on a bike and do it again tomorrow.
There was a we had planned based on what you were just talking about, smiling ear to ear the entire time. We had planned on having an award at the finish line. Do you remember? It came a little bit late,
Yes,
but it was an Easy Rider T-shirt. We're like the Easy Rider, man. She was like she was just ear to ear the whole time. Awesome travel buddy. It was fantastic. So
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, one of the treasured memories that I have about that trip is riding along and seeing Melissa on the back of the bike
dancing.
And she danced, and you did not stop smiling the whole time. It was absolutely amazing. And I had the best of every single world on that trip. I was in the best position possible because I didn't have a bike. And so I was going to drive a support vehicle, and I got the wonderful fortune of riding with Neil.
The
Sage. So we spent hours upon hours upon hours talking, listening to music, singing, and we made up stories, and we made up this silly little ongoing narrative about Folger's Coffee and Mrs. Olson and Maxwell House, and then it went on to James Bond and Moneypenny, and he was James and I was Moneypenny. We had this. Y'all didn't know this. We had this hours-long, ongoing banter and dialogue back and forth, just role playing and stuff like that. It was the stories kept building and building and building. So that was just a super treasured time with Neil that I will never forget because it was simply wonderful. And then on top of that, then I had the great good fortune of one day really early on, Jim Clemens had said, "Hey, you feel like riding?" I said, "Hey, yes, I do." So he had a spare helmet. So a good deal of the time I was on the back of a bike and enjoying the heck out of myself. So I got both worlds. I got all that time with Neil. I got to spend some time with Brian in his truck and a little bit with Tim and, of course, Alex as well. So I got all that truck time, hauling time, all that stuff, and I got to enjoy it from the back of a bike.
That's fantastic.
It
It wasn't
doesn't
just during sunshine.
It wasn't just during sunshine. Yeah, there were
Because you could easily, I'm going to set
I
this
could have
up.
bailed,
Melissa, she's like, hey, all in means all in. Let's
Yep.
do this. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
I might be in that truck if I didn't have a motorcycle right now.
And I didn't exactly have the appropriate gear because I wasn't planning to, ride. So I'd be behind Jim, like this little koala bear behind him, and just, okay, you're gonna block the rain and the hail and the snow and whatever else we're gonna get. And that worked just fine. So it was simply amazing, and I like Melissa, no regrets. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Like, hint. I want to talk about something, Melissa, I know you're passionate about. Actually, I know all of you have a heart for this. Obviously, the Protector Culture podcast is what it's called. It already came up, protecting children. I think self-protection, you want to protect yourself. It's weird because, and I'm asking you, Rachel, if you asked about, self-defense, whatever. But if I mention the kids, it's a different gear. It's a different mentality. And, that's when Mama Bear comes out.
Yes.
Don't touch
Yep.
my kids, whatever. So, Melissa, I just happen to know more about your frustration with, are our kids safe? Are they protected? Is there enough being done say as much or as little as you're comfortable with. I know my thoughts on it.
So it's there can be more done. A lot more can be done to where the school districts or the state has upped its SRO program, but there's not enough of them. And I think that's where a school district or a school needs to decide what's important, and they need to make that call to where they need to either seek additional outside sources. And I'm a firm believer that every school should have some type of SRO or officer on campus while the school is operating, 100%. And I have batted heads this last year to where that was kind of my final straw. Yeah. My kids went there. I worked there. And I didn't get the answer I wanted. And I had multiple meetings, and I got turned down every time.
Yeah.
To where they said their hands were tied.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that. We've been in that battle as well, and we submitted a plan that would have been roughly half of what the current plan was, and they said this is so expensive that you won't have coverage in all the schools for many, many years to come. So we said, well, would you consider something that's half as expensive? In our thought being, if you make it this inexpensive, you could double the coverage and cut the time down in half, and it just wouldn't really be looked at. There was a big, we call it a dog and pony, this big production about all this money that came out in Douglas County that was like, look at all this money. And one of the things that was decided, and I don't think this is a bad plan as far as the film that you can't break and all that kind of stuff, 3M type film. I just don't think it was that's not the first step. So we've always presented that you start with people. You have to start with trained people to whatever that level that could vary. But if your people don't know the plan, example being, you can make that school bulletproof, but if you prop the door open, then that actually hurts the whole process. So I can walk right into a school right now. I've done it many, many times. I've worked in literally hundreds of schools and walked in, and I get buzzed in before I even have a chance to show my ID, or a kid opens the door or whatever. So it's simply not a problem. You just tailgate somebody. It's simply not a problem to get in. So now what you've done is, if you do have a child and you're trying to leave the school, you can't break the window. Why? Because we wrapped it. We wrapped it with this special stuff. So we've presented, you're probably going to be a part of this. You might be running the company someday. But we are actually, presenting when schools come back of what that looks like, obviously for COVID and all that, but then also to get somebody trained in every school, and the mentality now is, let's get, an ex-police officer that hasn't qualified in a long, long time. That just doesn't cut it because you're post-certified. We just got to really take a look, both with COVID and protecting our children, is, are we buying a bill of goods? Here, it's like, this person's the most capable. Show me right now. Okay, I get it. You did something once upon a time. What can you do right now? And we know that we can. And I'm talking from the first person. My kids too are going back into a school. We've got a plan for them this year. I'm sorry, as soon as they go back to school. But we're going to keep fighting that good fight, because I know that you guys have a heart for that. So we're going to continue to keep working in that direction. You've said that something, inspired you. That's awesome that it was her. That's whatever. Meaning that you gained confidence from seeing her doing it. Right now, there's somebody sitting at home or maybe listening that is intimidated, and they've seen it or they've never heard about it. So just take a second. What would you say to them? What would you say to them about this? Why would you even consider this? And is it worth doing? Go ahead.
Okay. I haven't thought about it. I'm flying by the seat of my pants here. So let's see what happens. I would say that if you're on the fence, worried, or intimidated, go ahead and give it a try, because your first introduction is the POP class. Regardless of whether you decide this training is for you or not, it will still leave you with skills that you will use for a lifetime. And it will be an entirely valuable and very applicable use of your time. Odds are very high that you will also make a bunch of new friends and discover some teachers, instructors that you will find that you click with, connect with, and will probably be able to work with for additional time in the program. So I guess the bottom line, the summary of that is go ahead and give it a try. POP is something that you will benefit from regardless of whether or not you enter the rest of the program.
On that, quick question for you.
Yep.
It was my belief, because I'll tell people, they're like, I'm not really a gun person. Don't know if I believe in that, and politically I don't know where to stand. I think people should take it anyway.
Yes.
There's a firearms component with a pistol and all that. And I said people don't have to like guns to know how they work and understand that capability. Agree, disagree?
Agree. In fact, you are that. If you fear guns, you definitely should learn how they work. Period. Because one thing, it'll take away the mystique. You'll learn the mechanics of it, what makes it go bang bang, what doesn't make it go bang bang. The fact that this is your built-in safety right here, and what to do with it when you're holding a gun.
That is a trigger finger for those on the audio podcast.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, I forgot we're doing audio too. I was holding up my index finger on my
That's the
strong,
first one, by
on
the
my
way.
strong side. Yes. So yeah. Oh, my great day. Okay.
Melissa,
Anyway,
Melissa.
but yes.
I would say really any profession, but the ones that really stand out because I'm familiar with them are nurses, the doctors, those frontline people right now, teachers, people that are staff members at schools. You don't have to be a teacher to be part of that, but people that have kids, the soccer mom, the kid that, the stay-at-home mom. Really, don't be intimidated to come to this class. And we actually were having our first only women's POP this Saturday. And I'm so excited the class is full. And that only means that more in the future.
Yes, yes.
But literally, you shouldn't feel intimidated because that is, like you said, that POP class is that first stage. And you don't have to continue. But your skills that you gained during that first class are enough. And I'm, like my mom who is not real into guns, she's doing the class, and she's like, what did you sign me up for? But no, it's definitely take that risk and get yourself up to like that level that you feel safe in the society, because I think right now the society right now is a little on edge. So be prepared and be safe and be able to protect those around you too.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
So the safety, situational awareness, and all that. I believe there are pieces in there that if that's the only class you took, like you were saying, I think that more situational aware. You guys have seen linking and the way that I move around with my kids and all that kind of stuff, and you guys maybe do that too, to where they just understand certain things. And people are like, how do they know this? Did you freak them out and put them in some kind of... Yes, but typically the family event that we did, I want to do more of that stuff. That wasn't for me. That was for Rachel and the kids. That wasn't for like it's you and Everett in there, but that was to train the children so they've seen this kind of thing. If there's an emergency, get behind mom or dad and grab on. That gets them out of that, whatever. I can face a threat and not have my kids in front of me because they already go behind me. That started at Safeway, walking across the parking lot, knowing behind there. And did I share this with you guys about the Lowe's thing? So yeah, we went to Lowe's over Christmas and everything, and there was a guy, and he was yelling and cussing and doing all this stuff. And, initially with Rachel right there, she said something, he just turned on her. It never got physical. But at the moment I stepped in, because I don't think he realized I was with them. And then once I did, I looked back and they were all huddled in this little, protective little group. And Rachel just beelined them towards the front door. And that's what I needed to happen right there.
Right.
And that made me feel comfortable with what was happening right there. Because now I kind of have an out, or I've got options of what I can do right now, knowing that my family's safe. So, and not be slowed down or restricted or whatever. So we had a little huddle, and they were a little shaken up, quite frankly, because they don't hear that kind of language, and they don't see mom, getting pretty aggressive and dad getting really aggressive, verbally at least, and kind of land. And the police were involved, like mentioned, meaning like, hey, we can get the police here, all this kind of stuff. And it just scared them. It shook them up. And then we talked about everybody's perspective on that, but it ended with, good job, guys. Good job. That, and they don't need to know that it could have went a worse way. They just needed to, like I think I said on the podcast, They went home and they ended up praying for him out for dinner. You know, they're praying for this guy that scared them with all these profanities. Just had some stuff going on, whatever. But that's pretty cool stuff. So, anyways, thank you for being here, each and every one of you. Appreciate you guys. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the female perspective of the protector culture. We should do this again. So we'll look at some more topics, and BK can line it up, and we'll get it going. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up and sign off. Give us a 5-star rating right now. Please write us a review. That's a review. That's how people learn about us, and we gain in size. Follow us on Facebook. Just type in Able Shepherd and watch these videos. If you're on the audio side of it, then go to protectorculture.com. Scroll all the way down to the little YouTube link. Click on that, and you can watch the video versions. I know, hey, Perry Saul, I know he appreciates the shout outs. He listens to them. Then he goes watches them, and he says they're even better. So check that out.
Hi, Perry.
He's going to love that. Learn more about the Able Shepherd program at ableshepherd.com. That's ABLESHEPHERD.com. Until next time, God bless each of you. Take care of one another.